There are some really terrifying locations on Google Maps. I realized this because I watched Yerman's video and I couldn't believe there were places that disturbing. And even worse, that nobody is talking about this. So I'm going to check out the 8 scariest coordinates I found to uncover the secret behind them. Like this lake in Iraq that turned completely blood red, or this village in Japan that's full of mannequins that look like real people. Although the last coordinate doesn't exist anymore, literally, Google erased it forever and we may never know what was really there, so let's go. The first location is in Kazakhstan. In Kazakhstan, there's a very mysterious pentagram. Okay, here it is. Many people say that this place is probably the site of a satanic cult or where rituals are performed that basically cause harm or are completely diabolical. But the truth is completely different. This is not a pentagram, but rather the remaining land from an old structure that belonged to the Soviet Union. This was meant to be an amusement park, but it just turned out this way. It looks like a pentagram because stars were commonly used at that time, but in reality, it had nothing to do with anything diabolical. And the next coordinate is from a country we've already talked about before in a short, which is basically called the Gates of Hell. This place is a huge gas tank which causes what we're about to see. Now let's copy the coordinates and paste them directly into Google Maps. I'm curious because this looks light blue, as if it's burned or damaged. It could be burned since there's gas underneath everything. Basically, it's a huge crater that's been on fire for hundreds of years. The governments that have come and gone in Turkmenistan tried to put it out, but they never could. Because basically, it's a giant gas tank. And anything they try to do there or any mistake that might happen, literally everything explodes and the people working there die. From the sky, it looks pretty disturbing. So let's go straight to the next coordinate, which many call the ghost on Nancy's balcony. At first glance from the satellite layer, nothing looks strange, but when we switch to street view, everything changes. Is the whole scene blurred? That's because Google is trying to hide what was visible. On one of these balconies of these houses, this would be the official photo of the ghost on Nancy's balcony. First, Google tried to erase the being that appeared here, but now you're going to see the real photo. It's pretty disturbing, and I don't know why I'm saying disturbing. I'm copying Luisito. It looks like a creature. A lot of people think that what appeared at these coordinates is a supernatural being, a demon, or something like that. But other people suspect that it could be a Tuki statue. This would be a Tuki statue. The truth is that it looks quite similar. It even has its arm positioned the same way as the original figure. And they say that the image was simply distorted because of the location of the Google camera. And honestly, I think that could also be the case, but the problem here is that Google blurred the entire image. Why did they blur it? Why don't they want to show the statue? If it was just a statue? Honestly, I don't know. It's definitely one of the week's mysteries, but I honestly don't think it will ever be solved. The next coordinate isn't really a coordinate, but it is a pretty intense curiosity of our planet. And basically, recently many scientists determined that there is an 8th continent on Earth. As you know, there are 7 continents on Earth, and the 8th continent is submerged underwater and it's called Zealandia. Basically, it would be this. Do you see all this blue structure? Well, clearly it's submerged underwater. Well, this would be the 8th continent. Scientists say that over the years, little by little, it will start to emerge, it will form, and people will be able to land there. But this scientific revelation doesn't compare to the completely disturbing situation experienced by this Google worker. The village of the doves. A Google worker was traveling through a hidden village in Japan. He wanted to record the locations to upload them to Google Maps, but the situation became overwhelming. The Google guy was simply walking around here until he came across this group of people who were all wearing dove masks, and now they are completely censored. But I'm going to show you the real image. This is the real image that used to be on Google. Basically, there are 7 people wearing dove masks, and they're staring at the Google Maps camera in a very disturbing way. I think that if I were the guy walking by there, the first thing I would do is run away. It's really terrifying. These doves are thought to be a prank by nearby art students, as the location and style match a typical student project. The censors, those sons of guns, make everything boring. It can't be. The truth is that aside from the people in dove masks, I find the town quite nice. It's very nice. Japan in general is very nice. Now we're going to see a location that's in America, a place where everyone thinks the beaches are beautiful. But nobody knows that on its surface there's an airplane graveyard with a very disturbing story behind it. But to analyze this situation, I'm going to have to put on glasses. Not because I see better, but simply because my head is already starting to hurt. Perfect. We are in the Bahamas on an island called Berry Island, where you can see a plane that was stranded, lost, and submerged underwater. It seems that the Bahamas have an airplane graveyard. Many planes have crashed and fallen into lakes, seas, and rivers. But there is a very famous one, which is the one we are seeing in the picture, that is related to drug trafficking. But not just any drug trafficker, it's connected to Pablo Escobar. The plane crashed in 1980, and now it's one of the most important spots. Because basically, many divers come here to see the home of the fish. Now, even though it used to be used to commit many crimes, the truth is that it's quite chilling, but also curious. But it's not spared with the next coordinate, which is the one many of you were waiting for, and that's the Mannequin village in Japan. At first glance, it looks pretty normal and quite beautiful. Can you imagine waking up every day in this little house and seeing this incredible mountain? Imagine being these people, waking up every day seeing this beautiful village, but then you realize they're not actually people, they're not people. Imagine how real they look, that Google thinks they're people and blurs their faces. Basically, this village is full of scarecrows everywhere. Here are more, but why? Why is it full of scarecrows? Many would think that the scarecrows are there to scare away crows from the crops, animals, and all that. But the reality is completely different. Because these mannequins were made for a reason. Well, you could say it's actually kind of a beautiful one. And basically, the people of this village decide to commemorate the beings who lived before, the human beings who lived before. And each scarecrow represents a person who lived in this village. Maybe the farmer who spent all day in the fields trying to make things grow. Does he have his own scarecrow or himself? These two people who appear here might be two grandparents, a couple of grandparents who sat there every day and, I don't know, watched nature and all that. Maybe their grandchildren tried to recreate them and leave them there, keeping their essence alive. And basically, this town is well known for these mannequins and is commonly visited for this reason. In fact, this town is a bit of a ghost town in Japan because not many people live there anymore, only older people who have lived there since they were young. Even the village school is closed and they decided to put scarecrow students in that place to remember the times when this town was alive. And there were people like this man is real. Imagine all the people who lived here with dreams, feelings, and loved ones. And their houses are still there even if they aren't, but their essence is still there, brother. The next location is one of the most disturbing you'll see in this list, and it's the Blood Lake in Iraq. In 2007, some people who were using Google Earth at the time found a very strange image that was in Iraq. And basically, one of the lakes looked completely red. Well, honestly, I can't quite find which one is the Blood Lake, but I can show you this one. This phenomenon didn't just happen in that place in Iraq, but it occurs in several parts of the world. And basically, it has a rather peculiar reason. And it's that in these rivers, there's a lot of blood. Well, not blood, but a lot of salt. And all the chemical processes that happen with that salt end up dyeing the lake red. It ends up being quite disturbing. If you notice, it's actually the result of pollution from nearby factories along these rivers. Let's take care of the rivers, guys. But the last one is the one everyone was waiting for, and it's the hell that Google Maps has been trying to hide all this time. A Reddit user basically made a post saying that he found hell on Google Maps. He was playing with Street View near his house and was curious to see what the mall in his town looked like before. He noticed that all the dates were normal, but there was one that was completely strange. In the October 2008 Street View, the mall's structure appeared on fire. He claimed a large black sphere appeared there, suggesting Google was trying to hide it. I went to that location, but when I did, you can't see anything. It's completely dark. It's as if Google is trying to cover something up. This is the place that the Reddit user was talking about. It looks completely normal, but let's go to the date he mentioned, May 2008. The little town looks a bit older and all that, but it still looks normal. And I tried to figure out the reason for this. And it seems that everyone who read this post realized that there's no longer an option for October 2008 because the only option available now is May 2008. Google is trying to hide this information. Many users started asking him whether what he said was real to show proof. And the guy showed proof, and it was the only one he had. This is the only thing we have to see from this place. Apparently, it looks like it's still the same place, the same town, but you can't see anything. It's completely hell, like he said, as if it were a portal. Why did Google decide to hide this? The only proof we have is this screenshot, and honestly, you can't see anything in it either. But imagining being in that guy's situation, finding this place is pretty creepy. Tell me in the comments what you think Google is trying to hide with this. Because it's not the first time we've seen it. They tried to hide the pigeon people. They tried to hide Nancy's ghost balcony, and I hope you don't get scared when you go to sleep tonight. Actually, it was pretty fun making this video. If you want us to visit these places, leave lots of likes. Maybe when we reach 10 million subscribers, we'll do it. See you in the next video. Goodbye.